What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports. Today I'm going to share with you 3 returned envelopes. There was one envelope that has an extra stamp attached to it, so I can feel it's kind of thick. So we will see who that is postmarked from here in a second. But it feels like a few extra freebies were enclosed, so I'm going to save that one for last. But the first one that I'm going to open, I think I know who it is because I only wrote one person from Hawaii. And it is indeed who I think it was. If you guys recall, in my last baseball card show pickup video, I had a stack of vintage football that I picked out. And this is the first return from that stack, and that is Rockne Freitas, or Rocky Freitas, he also went by. And he played roughly about 10 years in the NFL for the Detroit Lions. He is an offensive tackle, standing at a massive 6'6", 280 pounds. That is huge for a guy from that era during, the 1960s and 70s. Not too many guys are that big from that era. I mean, there's a few, but it's very common now in the NFL for a guy to be 6'6" and that big, but not back in the 1960s. So a little bit about Rockne. Obviously, his name, he was named after, guess, Knute Rockne. And that's, I know that only because it says it on the back of one of his cards. I mean, that may be a tale that's not true, but that's what the back of his card says. Second, he played roughly 10 years. The majority of his 9 years were with the Detroit Lions. Then he finished up one season in 1978 with the Tampa Bay Bucks. He made one Pro Bowl appearance in 1972. And the most interesting thing about Mr. Freitas is after his playing career, he became a college administrator, and he worked for the University of Hawaii, and he has worked for the University of Hawaii West Oahu, Hawaii Community College, etc. And his son, McCoy, also was drafted in the 2003 draft by the Colts. So, very happy to add Rockne Freitas to the collection. Some vintage football cards that I just recently picked up, and he signed 3 of 3. Thank you very much, Mr. Freitas. Alright, this next one possibly could be baseball or football, but it appears that it is postmarked from Baltimore, Maryland. So I think this might be a former Colts player. And it is indeed former Colt, and also cards from that last video. Rick Volk on 1, 2, and 3. Rick Volk also played, it looks like, 10 years in the NFL. Actually 11, excuse me. He was on the Baltimore Colts Super Bowl championship team of Super Bowl 5. 3-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. He played safety. He was a kind of oversized safety. He was 6'3", so that's a pretty big guy to be a safety. But he also did kick returns. He finished with 38 interceptions throughout his career. Multiple Pro Bowl appearances, 3 times. Played at the University of Michigan. Volk currently, in 2009, when he was last interviewed, was working in supplies for the industrial steel mills, selling equipment to steel mills. So after his playing career, he found a second career. So thank you, Mr. Volk. All is cool to have a Baltimore Colts legend added to your collection. The Indianapolis Colts obviously still exist, but I've mentioned in many videos that I really enjoy collecting now defunct teams' autographs, you know, whether that's baseball, football, basketball, whatever. So adding 3 Rick Volks to the collection is definitely something that I'm very happy about. Thank you very much, Mr. Volk. All right, and this last one with the double stamps on it. Okay. It's postmarked from Jacksonville, Florida. And there are indeed some freebies in here. I go back to. It's always cool to get freebies, and that's why obviously, you know, promote handwriting your letters to people. You know, sometimes when you take that extra effort to handwrite your letters, sometimes you have success. And this is from former Notre Dame great on 1, 2, a duplicate, 3, and number 4, Green Bay Packer great Mike McCoy. Not to be, you know, confused with the coach Mike McCoy. So some of the younger viewers, I don't want you to mix those two up and go out and buy some of these guys, you know, this guy's cards and send them to the coach. But this is former defensive lineman Mike McCoy, who started at Notre Dame, then later became a Green Bay Packer fixture for many years. So a little bit about Mr. McCoy. He threw in some freebies, and I'm going to share those with you here in a second. But as you can see, he played for Notre Dame. In his professional career, which lasted 10 years, he played from the Packers from 1970 to 76, played for the Raiders from 77 to 78, and he finished up his career with the New York Giants from 79 to 80. He appeared in 132 games over his NFL career, and basically was a fixture on the defensive side of the ball for the Packers for, you know, that early 1970s to mid-70s period. Mr. McCoy, after he retired, actually became a minister. And to this day, he actually does motivational speaking and does ministry work, trying to empower people and sharing the Word of God through fighting drug addiction and empowering the youth and the importance of good decision making. This is off of his website, so that's where I'm reading this from. He has been at many, looks like, Catholic ministry rallies throughout the country, but more importantly, I wanted to share with what he gave to me, and that is 1 and 2 signed postcards, or oversized cards. I'll show you the back of one so you can see it. And this talks about him and his commitment to God and his ministries. So I thought that was very nice of him to include those extra signed postcards. And they are actually signed. If you look closely, sorry about the glare there. If you look closely, the signature is different on both of them. I guess I should actually show you the signature on this one. But as you can see, the signature is a little bit different on both of the cards there. So thank you for joining me for another episode of Through the Mail Thursdays. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm really excited to get some of these vintage football guys back in the mail. So definitely stay tuned throughout the next few weeks, the next month or so, where I share these with you. Again, thank you, Mr. McCoy. Thank you, Mr. Volk. And thank you, Mr. Freitas, for helping me build my vintage autograph NFL football collection. Stay tuned next time for another episode. I look forward to your comments below. Thanks.